um, important to understand kind of what a story is and where it comes from in your brain. Okay, the understanding what's happening biologically, the science of how you feel and why you're thinking the way you're thinking is so important to create the awareness and the empowerment to shift those thoughts, those feelings, those behaviors. Okay, so some basic science stuff about how your brain works, very important. Okay, just like understanding macros, you got to understand what's happening in your own body with your biology. Okay, so a story is really a pattern of emotions that your brain uses to recognize and create meaning. Okay. It uses the meaning that you assign to things and the patterns that you give things on a subconscious level. Your brain uses that to make sense of this whole world. Okay. There's a lot going on in the world, and your brain has to focus and filter, decide what to pay attention to, what's not as important. So it's got to take this pattern of emotions that it's feeling, assess some meaning behind it to know what to pay attention to. Now, when you create stories, which we all have, okay, anytime you're saying anything to yourself, it's kind of a connection to a story. And when you say these stories, when you hear these stories inside of yourself, your brain is releasing cortisol and oxytocin. These are like the most super powerful chemicals that there are inside of your body, but they trigger your ability to connect, to empathize, to make meaning of what's going on around you. And so, in a biochemical sense, like your stories are sort of what make you human. You know, your ability to create meaning and connect and empathize, right? But the challenge is, so like stories in themselves aren't exactly bad, but the challenge is to realize that the things that you tell yourself, about your relationships, about your life, about your capabilities, they're just stories. Okay, they're just strings of words and pictures and patterns and meanings that have been linked together over a very long period of time, and it's really just a habit. Your stories, the what you play on repeat inside of yourself, is just a habit of thought. Okay, it's a habit of automatically thinking a certain way. That automatic thinking creates a specific pattern in your brain activity. Okay, are we following that so far? Different thoughts create different electrical impulses. Nerve activity inside of the brain creates a different neural pattern. So there's a very specific neural pattern for worry, fear, love, happiness, right? And so automatic thinking creates this neural pattern of brain activity over and over and over and over and over. And what do we know about neurons, for those of you who have been here and have listened before? Nerves that fire together wire together. So the more you think about it, the more that pattern is alive inside of your electrical chemical brain, the stronger those neurological connections, the more reinforcement your brain is actually getting of that story. Now, this is totally happening on a subconscious level, but the outcome of that is that that neurological reinforcement causes you to view the world through a specific lens, to view yourself through a specific lens without thinking. It's called automaticity in neuroscience world, but it's all of this stuff happening on autopilot just because of how your brain lays down wiring and creates pattern and meaning. Are we there so far? Everybody get that? Are you with me? Okay, cool. So we can see, just if we're looking at biology, neuroscience, that you're kind of not totally in control of your stories, right? You think about it, you think about it again, you think about it again, you think about it again. Very quickly, your brain has created this very strong neurological connection, and it's off to the races. That's your subconscious. That's the 98% of your brain that is moving on autopilot in the background, that helps you to cross and uncross your legs, breathe, blink, perform as many behaviors and thoughts on autopilot as possible so your brain can conserve energy. That's all subconscious. Okay. So that's where your stories are living in your subconscious mind on autopilot. And your conscious mind can kind of attempt to overwrite the story. You know, if your story is like, I've always been overweight, then the conscious mind could be like, I'm losing weight, I'm losing weight, I'm losing weight, I'm losing weight. But until you also address all of the automaticity and the subconscious programming, which is the story, that's not enough. That's not enough, because your brain, so this is kind of cool. You have this place in your brain called your hypothalamus. It's kind of like a thermostat. So like you set your thermostat to 70. When it's cold, thermostat goes on. When it's hot, thermostat goes on. Your thermostat serves to keep you at a set comfort point, right? So your hypothalamus in your brain is that same thermostat. And so once you have all of these neurological connections, these patterns that are kind of set in stone inside of your brain, you have a set temperature, let's call it. And when your beliefs and your behaviors deviate too far from that set temperature, your hypothalamus kicks on. It's very, very cool. And it essentially brings you back to where you're comfortable, where your brain is comfortable, by turning down the temperature of your thoughts and your emotions and your behaviors. And that's kind of part of why change is really, really uncomfortable, is because there's this part of your brain that just wants the conditioned set point, right? There's like alarms going off, something new, something different. Why are we thinking different? Why is this taking more neurological effort? Because I have to relearn something. This doesn't feel safe. So that's all biology. Make sense? And that's all in your subconscious. So just going like, I'm gonna lose weight, I'm gonna lose weight, I'm gonna lose weight, not enough. Are you with me still? Can I get a nod if you're with me still? All right, cool. I'm throwing some big concepts at you today. So why does this matter? You probably can assess some of why this matters just by hearing all of this, but let's review a couple of things. Words have power, okay? They affect what you believe and how you feel. Essentially, your words create your body. Your stories are your words. Your words create your body. How so? Those of you who have been here for a while have heard me talk about this. I've even shown pictures. There was a study where they had two plants, identical environments, right next to each other in the same room with nothing else in that room. They had middle school students come in and bully one plant. Just talk a bunch of shit to it. Tell it how awful it is, how much it sucks, how it can't grow, or whatever. Other plant, they said all sorts of loving things too. At the end of this study, the loving plant, beautiful, great leaves, growing amazing, colors are all organized and cohesive, leaves all kind of look the same. The other one, it was just like craggly. Some leaves are big, some leaves are really small, some leaves are falling off, the color's all off. I mean, you can tell the plant is dying. It's just words. Who knows about the Masaru Emoto water studies, the Japanese scientist? Who's heard about these? We've talked about them on here. If you've been here for a while, it's a great refresher, even if you've heard it before. So this Japanese scientist noticed that pure water from like mountain spring pure source, when looked at under microscope, made beautiful symmetrical crystal patterns. Beautiful patterns. And you Google this stuff, it's very cool to see. So what he did, he wrote down words on pieces of paper, taped the word to one glass, words like fool and anger and wrong and unworthy. All he did was tape the word to the glass. The other one taped really loving words, right? Love, connection, source, you can, those kinds of things. Let these words sit on these cups of water. What do we think happened based on what I just told you about the plants? He looks at these cups of water under microscope, and the crystals in the beautiful word water cup are beautiful crystals, symmetrical, gorgeous patterns, gorgeous colors of different shades of white and translucent, and even like a little bit yellow. The yucky word water cup, you've got to look this up, you guys. The crystals are totally asymmetrical. They're really kind of gross looking. Like some of them are brown. They're rounded on the corners instead of these beautiful like snowflake angles that we see under microscope. I mean, it's astonishing. Okay. And there's a lot of studies like that. And I mean, you could even think about this, like when somebody is really, really unkind to you, or if somebody is really stressed out and anxious around you, how do you feel? How does your biology change in those moments? The way you feel is your biology, okay? How do you feel when somebody is amazingly loving around you, amazingly supportive? There is a shift in your biology, in your body, that creates what you interpret as a feeling. Are you with me still? That same thing is happening when you rehearse the negative story inside your own head or rehearse the positive story inside your own head. You just don't notice it the same. You know, when someone is being super awful to you, you notice that yucky, awful feeling. When you're being awful to yourself, it's a different level of awareness for most of us, and we don't even notice the feeling that we are creating for ourselves. Make sense? So that's one reason why your stories matter. Words have power. Second reason, because those words have power beyond just changing your biology, like we see in the plant and the crystal, those words are going to disempower you or empower you, right? You repeat something long enough, you are going to believe it. You're going to convince yourself that that is the way it is, and then it becomes the way it is. You keep saying you can't, you get more, you can't. You focus on it. You start to feel it. The more you feel it, the more you focus on it. The more you focus on it, the more you feel it. And this is simply because of the neurological synapses firing together and wiring together because you focus on it. Okay. So you tell your brain what to pay attention to, essentially, by what stories you're going to give attention to and what stories you're going to keep on repeating. Who knows about the reticular activating system? Who's done this amazingly fun exercise? All right, we have this part of our brain that its whole job is to filter out unimportant information. There's too much going on around you. Your brain would literally explode if it had to bring everything in that all 5 of your senses were experiencing at all moments. So your reticular activating system is incredibly important, and it tells your brain what to pay attention to. Now you kind of program it. So who has ever bought a new car and then all of a sudden you see that car all over the place? Weird. Did that car not exist before? No, your focus was not on it. You start focusing on it, your reticular activating system goes, oh, there's something important there. She's thinking about it. I should pay attention. And it gets more of that. It's the same way that you're going to get results in a million other parts of your life. Who's had that happen with something? Let's do this right now. I want you to, I'm going to give you 10 seconds. I want you to look around wherever it is that you are right now and see everything green. Literally go. Everything green. I want you to take mental note. Make a list in your head of every single thing you see that is green. Remember it. I'm going to ask you. Look around for it. What do you see that is green? The tiniest of little things. Little pieces of trash, little shoelace ties, whatever. See the green things. Okay, stop. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. What did you see that was red? Nothing. Maybe one thing. Open your eyes. Can you find something red? Did you see that red thing before? No, because you were looking for green. That is your reticular activating system. You are going to get what you focus on. It's the coolest thing. Coolest thing. Okay. So that's the other reason why your story matters so much. And then, of course, there's the biological understanding of when we feel something negative, when we repeat that negativity in our head, we begin to experience the chemicals of fear and worry and anxiety and doubt and stress. And experiencing those chemicals is very toxic for your body. You start to live by the hormone of stress. Now, no organism on the planet can live under this heightened state of stress for seriously long periods of time without destructive things happening to the tissue. It's just a toxic chemical concoction. And when we live under those chemicals of stress, fear, worry, doubt, anxiety, they're all stress chemicals. When you live like that, it is your brain's job to focus even more reticular activating system. Okay, like blinders on. There's bad stuff going on everywhere. Don't pay attention. Don't pay attention. Just focus on this one thing. Okay, and it's usually like, where's the tiger? Where's the fear? Where's the worry? I got to focus on it because something feels scary here. And when you have that kind of myopic focus, when you feel that need to protect, when you're like, it's a lot of fear, there's no room to create. There's no room for possibility. It is not a time for your brain to consider different ways of doing something, different habits to adopt, fantasies of how you'd like to be and where you want your life to go. Your brain literally can't, because it is ruled by the chemicals of your body that are saying, pay attention to the scary fight or flight stressful thing happening right here. You can't create from that center of biology. Are you still with me? Okay. So all of that does not mean that your stories are made up. Like your past is your past. You didn't make it up. Okay. But it does mean that we take information, we filter it through our senses, and we give it meaning through a lens of our own experience. You know, we put those experiences into a story, we tell ourselves what it means, and then we kind of live by that. You know, why can somebody have the same tragic upbringing as somebody else, same story, and do something entirely different with it and experience that story differently? You know, it's the meaning that we are giving it that creates all of the negativity that we just discussed. Why do some people have these painful stories that hold them back? And that same story moves someone else forward, you know? So we understand the importance of having detachment to your story, yes? What might some of your stories be? Negative things that are ruling your life. I want you to unmute yourself, because the biggest number one of how you actually change the story is you need to know what the limiting stories are. You need to understand what it is that you are living by, what meaning you have given to your experiences, and what you are now telling yourself about the world and about yourself because of the meaning you have given to those experiences. So unmute yourself. Give me a story.
Not achieving goals in the past, so why would I achieve them now?
I can't achieve goals. Good. Give me another story.
I don't deserve it. I'm not good enough.
I'm not good enough. Give me another story.
Fear of failure.
I might fail. I failed last time. I've never succeeded.
Mm-hmm.
I've never succeeded. What else? You You guys, your stories go so deep. I don't even know that you realize that they're stories. Things like, I'm big boned. I've just always been this way. I was raised eating a certain group of foods, so it's just going to be way harder for me because I'm totally used to those foods. That's a fucking story. Says who that it's going to be harder for you because you were raised eating a certain set of foods and now you have to change it? That is a meaning you have given to that circumstance. So if I asked you to really sit and dig, which I encourage you to do after this call, to really dig into like every thought you have has an attachment behind it, a story that came from somewhere that you are now continuing to tell yourself. It could be something just as simple as like, I've never been able to do push-ups. It's a story. It's just a thought that you gave some meaning to. But that one tiny little thought comes with a set of biochemical feelings and produces a reaction in your body. And if you've thought it long enough, never been able to do this, never been able to do this, I've never been able to do this, it is going to create that same hold on you of disempowerment and changing your cellular biological experience. Okay. So here's how we start to change that. Number one, you absolutely have to understand that you are creating your story. You have to take responsibility for it without judgment, without emotionalizing it, which means like blaming yourself, you know, being like, man, I suck. I can't believe, how did I, why did I? It's not your parents. It's not your boss. It's not your partner. It has to just be, you are taking responsibility for every single thought that comes through your brain. It is nobody else. So you got to get to that point. Once we get to that point, we have to intentionally be the author. Because up until now, most of you haven't intentionally lived your life. You've mostly autopilot lived your life. How many of you have sat down at some point in your life to create a very crystal clear vision that you could see, that you could feel of how you want to live, who you want to be, how you want to feel? Has anyone ever done that? You're outside of this program, outside of me telling you you have to, right? So you have the reason you have to intentionally be the author with this very clear picture is because that's what you're going to tell your brain. You create a picture, you create a feeling behind that picture, you create a specific set of biological chemicals inside of your brain. You live by that feeling over and over and over. Reticular activating system goes, oh, she's paying attention to that. Guess I need to pay attention to that. Guess that's important. I'm going to look for more of that. You start to experience more of it. Snowball effect. Make sense? Are you feeling me? Okay, so if you have a pen and paper, let's write this down. Step one, you got to fully take responsibility. And you got to sit with this stuff until you can just be like, yep, it was all me. No judgment, no self-loathing, no hatred. Just like that's the way it is. Okay? Everything that has happened up until now is you. And then let's be the author. How do I want to live? And this is your first module inside of the Mindset Makeover curriculum, is finding your why, right? What do you want to feel? Who do you want to be? How do you want to live? You need to create an extraordinarily clear vision. So clear. Now, some of you are going to come up against a lot of fear when you create this vision. Yeah. Okay. Some of you and I think I know who more than others, are going to try to create the who do I want to be, how do I want to be? And you're going to come up against immediately the story of, no way, I can't, not possible. You might not even really be able to let yourself go to the creating of the who I want to be, how I want to be, the vision, the if I had a magic genie and he popped out of a lamp and he would give me anything that I wanted and I could just live that way. Some of you probably can't even see it because you just haven't let yourself go there enough because you're so scared that it's not going to happen and you're going to be disappointed. Let it go. Because did you hear Jim Rohn at the beginning of this? The cost of success versus the cost of failure. The cost of not letting those fears go. The cost of living by, I don't think I can, so I'm just not even gonna go there. The way that you are holding yourself back with that type of thinking, you just gotta let it go. Because you are disappointing yourself more by not actively creating your thoughts and your stories and your life than the disappointment you're going to feel if you try to actively create and maybe don't get there. I promise you, you are creating more disappointment down the road if you just live in that, like, I can't see it, I don't want to, I'm too scared to go there. You get over that fear. Become way more scared of what happens to your life if you don't get over that fear. Make sense? Okay. So once you have this clear vision, this really clear idea, how do I want to live? How do I feel? What does it look like? Where am I? What am I doing? We do need to, step 3, identify the limiting story. Now, how'd you do this? Just a tiny little bit, but when you sit with yourself, I want you to come up with all the limiting thoughts. Maybe even all the thoughts, period. And then if you just have a live stream of thought, you can go back through there and go, oh, that one's kind of limiting. Oh, that one's maybe not true. Oh, where'd that one come from? You know, just maybe write down every single thought you have about your body and your capability to change your body and what weight loss is like and why it's like that. Just write it all down. Just set a timer and just go, no stopping. Go back and look at that and go, where are the common plot lines, the reoccurring theme of, I keep talking to myself in this way. You're gonna see some same patterns of you. Step 2 is, yes, be the author by finding that why, having total clarity of what it's gonna look like, how it's gonna feel, okay? Step 3, find that reoccurring theme of the thoughts going through your head. Most of us are kind of ruled by one reoccurring theme. And it's usually, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, or I don't love myself. Those are kind of, that's what I've seen when we break down all the thoughts and all the behaviors, kind of fall into those 3 buckets. But I want you to find, what is your reoccurring theme? And then I want you to really think about, like, what parts of your story do you need to let go of? I don't care if it's true or not. That's not the point. It's irrelevant if it's true or not. Is it serving you to keep thinking about it? What parts of your thoughts do you need to let go of? You find those. You identify. Every day thinking, I don't know if I'm going to lose weight. I'm not sure I can do this. While maybe true that you feel uncertain, it is not serving you to revisit that thought on autopilot. Nope. Okay, so you got to find them. You got to decide what you want to let go of. Step 5. Once you have decided what you need to let go of, what those negative thoughts are, I want you to map that change out. We need a map to know where we're going. I want you to map that change out by writing the opposite of that story. So this could be like one sentence at a time, or it could be like a whole paragraph of story. you know, but if your story is, I've always been overweight, then what's the opposite of that? Today I'm losing weight. I'm moving towards being the weight that I desire. I'm putting sincere effort into making changes for my body. What are some opposites of that story? The best way to do this is to, if you use your phone a lot, write that opposite story in the notes section of your phone. If you're more a pen and paper girl, get an index card. Write that opposite story in a sentence on an index card. Carry that card around, or carry your phone around, and actually look for evidence to support your new belief. Because what you're doing right now on autopilot subconsciously without knowing it is looking for evidence to support the shitty story. That's what your brain does. You're walking around looking for evidence of I can't, I haven't. So throughout your day, you will find evidence if you're looking for it. Evidence that you are moving in the direction that you want. Evidence that that story is actually occurring, the new, better story. And you write that stuff down. Step 6. Are we on step 6? Yes. There's a lot of steps here. This is like the whole program, you guys. So I don't expect that you're going to get all of this done, but I want you to really see the linear progression of how stories and thoughts change inside of your brain. How you can completely create a new identity and a new life based on creating totally new thoughts, totally new expectations. It's almost like you have to completely buck reality and kind of go crazy for a little bit and live in a fantasy land that doesn't exist. Because that's where you're gonna find the evidence to support this new fantasy land. You know, if you kind of generally believe that the world is sort of a negative place and like most people are selfish and, you know, most people are not very kind, and like you're seeing that on a daily basis. And if you go out there every day and you know, the opposite of that story is the world is amazing and everyone is super loving, and you just look for that. You look for super loving. You find it. You're going to start feeling it. You start interacting like that with the world. And then all of a sudden the world is like that. It's really how easy it is. Okay, so step 6, create that visualization. If you are intentionally being the author, you know how you want to live, you know how you want to feel, you know what you want to do, you need to be able to see it. There's a whole module on visualizing. You need to see you doing it, and you need to feel and emotionalize it. The more you see it on the inside, the more your brain is going to believe that it is happening. The more it's going to change the way that you feel and change your biology. Step 6, create that vision. Step 7, start to build your confidence and your trust in yourself by celebrating the small wins. Okay, so in order to change the story, yes, you have to see it. Yes, you have to believe it. Yes, you got to know what the change of story is, but you also need to start proving to yourself. You need to start creating that little piggy bank of self-respect and self-trust and self-efficacy. And you do that by actually loving and acknowledging the small daily wins, you guys. You get over the end goal over there somewhere and stop bashing yourself for not being at the end goal over there. And you create awareness. You pay attention to the thing that you did today that was really good. And in that way, you build trust in your ability to keep on executing those types of steps. You build confidence. You build self-efficacy. You have to pay attention to those small things. Because if you're just always in, man, I haven't lost 30 pounds yet, I haven't lost 40 pounds, or however many pounds, haven't done it yet, haven't done it yet, haven't done it yet, and you're ruled by story over here of never done it before, never done it before, never done it before, you're stuck. You're stuck. Does this make sense? You picking up what I'm putting down? Okay. So that is a big, big assignment. There's a lot to break down in there. Who's actually going to go away from this call and put in the work to think this through and create something different in their head? Pam's going to do it. Who else? Melissa's going to do it. Cynthia's going to do it. Joey's going to do it. Andrea, Anita, yep, Lynette, Kayla's going to do it. Joy, you going to do it? Yep, she's got a one finger up. It's better than no fingers. It's a lot of resistance from some of you. I know. We're fighting it. You guys, you are creating your life. Moment by moment and thought by thought, you are deciding what is important, what you're going to pay attention to, what you're going to feel, what you're going to experience. Get out of your own way by putting the right stuff in there. You're going to eat the right food. You're going to do the right workouts, but you're still going to keep thinking, I can't, I haven't, I won't, what if? Might as well go eat all the pizza. Right? You get to create, just like you get to create the biceps on your body. You get to create how you feel. And how you feel rules your biology, chemically, your hormones, and the choices that you execute or do not execute on a daily basis.